morning. I'm seeing lots of questions or lots of people joining in. It's coming in so fast. I got no sound. Some people, if you don't have sound, it might be that you need to click on the picture that you're seeing yourself, and in the right hand corner there's an unmute button, but hopefully the rest of you are getting sound. Okay, there we go. Shreya, let's talk about Mid-Florida Credit Union right now, just a little bit. We all know how you guys started out of Lakeland. It's a small credit union. You're a nonprofit, which we love, but let's talk about what's happening right now. You are offering your businesses PPP loans. People that do business with you on a regular basis, they're getting PPP loans through you, correct?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. They're able to apply. They'll need a complete package, and those are being emailed to ppp@midflorida.com, and our business services department is working on them diligently.
And you, like most, are doing it with existing business clients, correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Good, good. And I've been trying to get the word out through our Facebook, but please, please, please apply for your PPP loan. It is important that you do it now. You contact your bank. There's plenty of literature out there. We have some links on our website. If you reach out to me, I'd be happy to explain a little bit more to you. But please apply. Contact your bank and apply. There's a federal government application that's very, very short. I was surprised about that. You've seen that, right?
Yes, yes.
It's very short, but then, of course, they're going to ask you to provide documentation as you go further through the process, payroll documentation. And I'm telling everybody, Paychecks, who I work through, and ADP, they're actually setting up portals where you can find that information on your company's portal, the reports that they are anticipating are going to be required from you. So, I'm so glad that you guys are doing it through Mid-Florida. You had, what, 3 days, 2 days to figure out what that looked like, and you guys scrambled and got to work?
Yes, absolutely. And we do have a checklist available for our members. So again, ppp@midflorida.com, or they can email me, shrita.walker@midflorida.com, and I'm able to send that information via email. They can contact our help desk. They can contact my office here, St. Lucie West, 361-6617. So yes, it's trying times, a lot of challenging things happening, but we are here for them.
And can you tell us your hours have changed? Because I was surprised when I spoke to you earlier and you said, for a long time, our office hour, our banking hours were the same as usual, but we've learned that we need to restrict those things. So how's it working over there at Mid-Florida?
Well, our drive-through is still normal business hours, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. So a lot of things we can do in the drive-through. Our lobby is closed for walk-in traffic, but we are accepting appointments for new accounts, new loans, if our members need to access their safe deposit boxes. So we're just trying to do business as usual, but a little different.
Yeah, we all have to do things just a tiny bit different, but as you know, emphasized by this broadcast this morning. Sean Boyle, our old friend, just mentioned a payroll protection program. We failed to mention what a PPP was, and it is a payroll protection program. Sorry about that, folks. And that's open to businesses, and in essence, you are able to borrow up to 2.5 times your monthly payroll, and hopefully get some of that forgiven at the end of all this. And there is some time before you even have to pay on that loan if you do get one. But yes, it is called the Payroll Protection Program, and it is part of the CARES Act. And the CARES Act is quite lengthy. I think it's 80-some pages, and it contains a lot of different programs, and the PPP is just one of them. Also, the stimulus package is part of it, and then there's disaster loans. There's a whole lot that goes into this CARES Act, but today, right now, we're just talking about PPP, the Payroll Protection Program, but we're going to do a series of webinars at the Chamber, and we're going to tackle each of these subjects on a very minuscule level. We'll do PPP next week, Thursday at 1 o'clock. Daniel Applebaum from the law firm of Dean Mead is going to be talking about payroll liability credits. You've heard about that one too, right, Shrita?
Oh, very good.
Yeah, it's confusing, and there's a lot, and they don't really want you to double dip, and so they're if you're doing this, you can't do that. If you do, so there's a lot that goes on with that, and all we can do is try to continue to get that information out. But we do have two buttons on our homepage at stluciechamber.org. That's stluciechamber.org, and that has, of course, a link to individual resources for those of you that are struggling on an individual basis, and then, of course, a link to our EDC's business resources. So hopefully you'll take advantage of that. How about you guys at Mid Florida? You've got something up on your website that tells people when you're open and what you're doing?
Yes, absolutely. The midflorida.com/coronavirus dash updates / again. And there are a few things that we're doing to assist our members during this time. So we're offering free skipper payments on our vehicle loans, consumer credit cards, and home equity loans and lines of credit. Credit card increases, they can temporarily increase their credit limit up to $500 for 30 days. We're also allowing them to skip their payments in April. That's done automatically. We also offer free early paycheck, and we're giving that to members for free as well. So that way, when their direct deposits come in, whenever we get it, we will give them access. So it could be 1 to 2 business days early, waiving early withdrawal penalties on CDs if they want to take partial withdrawals or take the entire amount, as well as first mortgage payment relief also. They can submit that request online.
Wow, that is a lot. That's a lot. That's impressive.
Thank you. Yes, the website has all of that information.
I'm so thankful that you guys got right in there in the mix, and I knew Mid Florida will. I'm happy and proud to be a part of the Mid Florida family, both through business and personal. So we have put in our PPP loan application because I'm not sure we're going to be having too many networking breakfasts anytime soon. Do you want to sit down in a crowded space with 125 people and eat your breakfast? That's probably not happening soon. So we're readjusting at the chamber as well. We don't have open office hours. We're this week I've asked everybody to stay home. We're getting closer to our peak here in Florida, and I really am encouraging my staff to stay home. I need them to stay home. I really do. We've got to do what we can from home. Yes, and but I do want to say we're still going out to pick up takeout to help our small businesses, and then I'm going to talk to the mayor about that in a little bit, about our Fridays, our partnership with the Children's Services, and how you can help not only a small business struggling here in St. Lucie County, but also a nonprofit partner that has joined up with them. So I'm excited about that.
Yes, that is exciting.
Tonight is tacos. It's Taco Friday instead of Tuesday, so Taco Dive. But I do have to say, we just found out that Taco Dive in Fort Pierce had a small fire. No one was hurt, but they're not making tacos today. Can you believe it? Yeah, it happened late last night. They were part of our drive today, but unfortunately, Taco Dive in Fort Pierce had to bail out. They've got some damage, but no one hurt. That's the good thing.
Yes, that is the important thing.
All right, so I'm not sure if the mayor is ready to go or not, hopefully. And I don't have a way to find out, to be honest with you. So I just keep going with you, Shrita. I have no idea. So, maybe Gus will text me and let me know if we're ready to go with the mayor. Otherwise, you and I are just going to hang out some more. I'm not sure what we're going to do. We're live, so it's not like we can just swing to a break. Does anybody have any questions on Facebook? Because I can see the Facebook questions. Don't forget, we have today's tacos. You're going to get tacos from Taco Dive and Tradition, and they're going to be supporting End It. You're familiar with End It, aren't you, Shrita?
Yes, ma'am.
They do plays, and they do. I've seen their plays, and they're an after-school program that focuses on the arts, and Skip and Sandy Dupree run that and have been doing so for a long time. They're going to be the beneficiary of our Children's Services Council partnership with Taco Dive for takeout tonight.
Oh, okay. Good. I know they have apparel for sale online too. I've gotten a couple of shirts there to support.
Yes, you're so supportive. I knew as soon as I said ended, I was like, oh yeah, I remember. Shrita knows that. She's involved in that. You're always so involved in our community. I appreciate that about you, Shrita. I see you everywhere, but I love that.
Thank you.
But yes, Taco Dive tonight, and I'm waiting for Gus to let me know if the mayor's ready. I'm sure, at least, I'm sure he can hear me. Somebody can hear me. Text me, send me a Facebook, let me know if the mayor's ready to go. But so, how it works, Sean Boyle came up with this idea from Children's Services Council. He's the executive director, and he really wanted to help out local business, local restaurants, but he can only fund nonprofits that are approved through his program, through the Children's Services Council. So what we've done is we've said, hey, whoever goes out to this particular small business, a locally owned business, on Friday for takeout, we will match their profits or their income for the evening up to $1,000 and give it to one of the nonprofits that are going to be struggling during this time. And so tonight that is Taco Dive and End It. So we're excited about that.
Yes. Do we know the website, Teresa, for them to learn more information? I know it's Ended Corporation.
Oh, good. Yeah, thank you for that, because I don't know Endit's website address. I don't have that handy. So thank you, Shrita. If they want to go learn about what that program does and how they're learning in a very unique way and educating, they did a very informative, well done, just can't say enough about their play they did a couple years ago on sex trafficking and how they did it in a kind way to inform others and what to look for. And they're amazing over there. I love that program very much.
Everybody is not doing it.org.
That's right.
That's what ENDIT stands for.
Everybody is not doing it.org. So it's really kind of teaching people good practices. All right, let's see. Do I have any questions on well, I'm getting lots of recommendations on Facebook and definitely lots of people talking. I love that. Former Mayor Patricia Christensen's joined us, and Braden Baker's on here. Joyce has a recommendation for Big Apple Pizza in Fort Pierce, and I would say that as well. Any other day of the week, you go to Big Apple, but tonight, Friday, you got to go to Taco Dive because, of course, Scott Van Duser's always doing great things with his nonprofit work up there as well. And then we've got somebody that's put up the link to everybody'snotdoingit.org or End It. So there you go. I appreciate that. It's very nice to have this interactive portion, although I feel like my eyes are sort of darting all over the screen. I'm looking at Rita, I'm looking at the Facebook, I'm looking at myself. We're on a delay. Tons of fun, though. Here's the explanation. Oh, Sean Boyle, thank you. He posted a link to the Small Business Big Challenge, which is what I'm talking about. That's where you go to Taco Dive tonight to get your takeout, and it's going to benefit a local nonprofit. So Sean Boyle's posted a link in the comments to that flyer explaining how the program works. And we're going to be doing that hopefully every Friday for the foreseeable future. We're trying to bounce back and forth between Fort Pierce and Port St. Lucie restaurants. We were so excited to have Taco Dive because that covered both in one night, but unfortunately there was an accident at Taco Dive in Fort Pierce. So, very good. Shrita put up her link. Thank you for that, Shrita. I should put up my link, but I'm not even sure I know how to do that. And to put up another whole page. Here we go. Actually, I can, I think. So I'm going to try this as we are hanging out. Thanks for hanging with me, Shrita.
Oh, no, this is great. I'm glad we got a chance to do it.
Yeah, I am too. It's nice. I wish others, I kind of like the Zoom. I'm going to start doing more Zoom stuff, more Zoom meetings. We're going to start doing our BNI meetings through Zoom coming up next week or so. So I'm excited about that as well. Have I gotten really dark on the screen there? I apologize for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I got really dark.
Oh, there it is. It looks like you lightened it up some.
Okay, very good, very good. I've made a makeshift studio at home with battery-operated flashlights, so high-tech stuff. All right. Okay, we've got Lots of people weighing in. We've got no questions. Does anybody have any questions about PPP or CARES Act? I'm not an expert, but I might have enough information to get myself in trouble. But I do want to make sure that I'm sending you to the right place to get the proper information. And I want to remind everybody again, Thursday, 1 o'clock, we're going to do a webinar for our members and whoever else I can get the link to, that we are going to. Mayor says he's almost here. See, now I'm managing my texts as well. So he's almost here. So anyway, we're going to be doing that webinar with Attorney Dana Applebaum from Speed on the payroll liability credit. So that's what we're going to be doing on Thursday at 1. We did a webinar with our partners at CBS 12 a couple weeks ago on how to make sure your Google profile is matching your new and amended hours. Were you able to join in on that one, Shrita?
No, ma'am.
That one was just sort of, you know how when you Google a restaurant and it says open today or not open today? Well, everybody's sort of changed that or amended that, and it's takeout only. So we wanted to help people learn how to do that. So we had that webinar, and it was well attended. And if we get requests, that's the other thing I'm asking for, is requests on what people want to know about in these uncertain times. What do they want to know about in terms of...
That's so true.
Yeah. We do have a question. How long does it take to get PPP approval? I'm not sure any of us know. Do you want to take a stab at that, Shrita?
No, ma'am.
I didn't think so. I did not think so. The reality is, it's such a new program, and the CARES Act is, freshly signed, and people are just scrambling to do anything that they can. The reality is there is no timeline given for approval. Same with unemployment. I know people are struggling with unemployment. People that have applied in the middle or even the early March are still waiting. It's difficult. The system crashes. The governor has promised help and reinforcement. 600 more people today are supposed to be coming online to help get your unemployment applications further through the system, because it's a great idea. They've upped the ante. They're going to give you hopefully longer time, longer than 12 weeks, the extra $600, but it doesn't do anybody good if nobody's actually receiving it yet. So, and I know people in my office, we are on limited income because we are a membership organization. We're not able to do any of our events or fundraisers, and so we're struggling as well. So we're right there with you, and I'm going through the processes. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask me. There was a couple of how long does it take to get the PPP approval, and are you charged maintenance fee if you do not have electronic deposit? I don't know the answer to that. Do you, Shrita?
We don't charge people to apply, but yeah, I'm not sure about the maintenance fee part. I mean, I would just direct them to the website, sba.gov, and they have a frequently asked questions, and I'm pretty sure that answer may be there.
Because the reality is you're applying with your local bank, your business banker, but the funds are coming from the federal government.
That's right.
Okay. High time to take a 5-minute break. Wait, I don't think we can take a 5-minute break, can we? I was told we have to keep going. So let's check on that. Excuse me as I text so rudely during our private Facebook meeting. Okay, I got to take a break. I've gotten my orders. It's hard to direct a talk show from this distance. Am I right?
Yes.
All right. Shrita, thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you for everybody for putting in their questions, and we're trying to get them answered. Don't get me started on an unemployment. I love the Facebook interactive. I wouldn't mind doing this every time because I love the interactive nature of this Facebook. But thanks again to Mid-Florida Credit Union. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come right back, and then we're going to have the mayor on Coffee with the Mayor. It only makes sense. So thanks, Shrita. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.
You too. Bye.
Welcome back to Coffee with the Port St. Lucie Mayor. I'm Teresa Aronson. I'm still with you. I changed positions. It's getting a little light out. But now we finally have our mayor with us. We're so excited. He's a very busy man. He's taking time out to spend with us today. We're going to tackle some Facebook questions and everything you need to know. So please welcome, from the city of Port St. Lucie, of course, the Honorable Mayor Gregory Orebeck. Welcome. Welcome. I say welcome, but I'm at home and you're actually in the chambers. Oh, I can't hear the mayor.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. There we
hey,
go.
Trista, this is just another reminder of how strange of times we're in. I hear you. I can't see you. It's our Friday. It's our coffee time, and I'm in here all by myself with just Gus and Avi. And I mean, they're obviously amazing, but they're no Trista Aronson.
I want to be there so bad, as you know. I'm trying, this is our stay-at-home month. We're supposed to work from home, and you and I have known each other for a long time, and we're sharing our individual stories. I am high risk. I have asthma, and sometimes I think I am the history of pneumonia, to be honest with you. And so it is not safe for me to wander out and mingle among others. So here I sit on my back porch day after day after day, trying to work as if nothing is weird about it, but it is.
Well, we're all doing our best, and I just want to express my appreciation for you as a leader, because as this was unfolding in our community and we were having difficult conversations about the right path and how we might do our very best to protect the people, you took it seriously from the beginning and understood that there was great sacrifice involved, but that saving lives and safeguarding our community was our most important job. And I just want to thank you for your leadership throughout this.
I appreciate you saying that. It's difficult for business leaders to admit that we have to do things that may not be popular or helpful for our economy. But the reality is, at the end of the day, everybody's safety is the most important thing. And so we needed to take this seriously. You know, I've been taking it seriously from the beginning. I like to keep up on the news, and we heard this was coming. And so since late February, early March, I have been taking extra precaution and felt excited to hear that others understood and were feeling the same way like yourself. Because if people will remember, last month you weren't in chambers and I was. And that's because you were having sort of your own scare with this thing, right?
That is true. I can remember, I forget exactly what date it was now, but I could kind of feel like I was getting sick on a Wednesday, and on Thursday, I was starting to feel worse, so I went to the city clinic, and I was able to know that I was not positive for the flu. But especially then at the beginning, the testing just wasn't where we want it to be. I think we could still say it's not where we want it to be, but definitely wasn't where we wanted to be there in the very beginning. I think that was around March 12th or so. And so I isolated at home and just got worse and worse. Was eventually able to get a test at the Cleveland Clinic drive-through testing facility on that following Tuesday. And I think a lot of you know, and you definitely know, Trissa, that it took me 14 days to get the result of that test. And so all along that way, was isolated at home, was virtually commuting to those special meetings that the city council was having, important meetings, declarations of emergency meetings, updates on COVID type meetings. And even though I really wanted to be at City Hall at that particular time, that I would not want to miss that type of meeting, had to do what you have to do, and that's lead by example. So if the rules of slow the spread is, if the first rule is if you're sick, stay home, well then you're telling everyone that they should follow the rules, then you definitely have to follow the rules. So
we appreciate that. That was a rough time though, because I know that I knew you weren't feeling well, and I knew you weren't able to get access to a test. So that was a waiting period of, what ifs and not knowing. And I'm sure it was just excruciating for Tanya and your family. And then, of course, 14 days. I think at day 9 or 10, I assumed it was negative because I hadn't heard anything. And I thought, oh, okay, he's fine. I feel better. And then I realized you hadn't had your test back. So that's 3 weeks of fear. And even the mayor is not absolved of that fear and the unknowing and the breakdown of the system, which I feel, it has gotten better, right? We're seeing test results sooner. We're seeing more access to tests. I want to thank Rob Lord and Cleveland Clinic for that. I want to say this, that if you feel sick, isolate. If you need immediate care is when you need to take steps. But if you just feel like you have a head, like right now, I know my sinuses are bad. The pollen's crazy. I'm not scared I have COVID. I'm aware that my sinuses are not in great shape. So I don't want to go out and try to get a test when I'm feeling, okay. I'm okay. A little stuffy. It's April in Florida. I'm going to be stuffy. Uh-oh, I think I lost you.
Well, I think we had just a little bit of a hiccup there, maybe a lag.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so get tested when you need to and just isolate. If you're isolating and you're feeling fine, but you're scared you might have COVID, then there's no problem, right? Because you're feeling fine and you're isolating yourself. So that's what we need people to do. And that's what we're working on. What else is going on? What isn't going on, I guess, is what we should say.
Well,
There we go.
There's so much information to take in with this that it's really 12 to 14 hours every day here between City Hall and the home office, just staying up on all the information that's coming in, staying up on the latest guidance, and then trying to help all of our citizens in need. Because there are so many people out there in the community that have been laid off, and so we're trying to help them with their reemployment assistance. And there are people that only received $282 in the month of March, and they're worried about how to make ends meet, of course. And so helping people understand that, hey, if you have a mortgage, contact your mortgage holder, because if it's Fannie or Freddie held, you are going to be able to defer, most likely, your mortgage payment. If you rent, call your landlord, see if there's anything that can be worked out. Evictions won't happen until this date based on governor's order and the Supreme Court's, Florida Supreme Court's decision on hearings, et cetera, et cetera. So just working that all the way through, making sure that we connect people to 211 and mental health and counseling resources, because a lot of people are feeling stressed. Definitely seen that. I mean, and I can appreciate that.
I definitely get that.
Together as a family, we're a house of 5. Everyone's home. Alex is home from college. My other 2 kids, they're studying from home. Tanya is a school board employee. She's home, and then she's immunocompromised. So she's at risk, and so she's very anxious. Even if one of us goes to the grocery store, we follow protocols about taking our shoes off at the door and going right into the shower, and just all these things to try to keep everyone safe. So there's definitely a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and we don't have the usual outlets. We don't get to go to work and, get something different from our home life. We don't, our normal outlets of sports or CrossFit and all these things aren't available to us. So it's a very stressful time.
I can attest to that. I don't even consider myself, very anxietal, but I feel some days I'm thinking, when is this going to end, as we all are? And you feel a little stressed, and you have to remind yourself that it will end. We're all in it together. We're all having the same struggles. I wish I would have invested in Zoom whenever that came on the scene, because that's the way we can stay engaged and touch base with our family and loved ones and friends. And so I've been doing more of that, and that's very helpful as well. We did have a question, Mayor, about personal protection. Someone has asked, are we requiring people in the city of Port St. Lucie to wear personal protection when they leave their home?
So at this moment, wearing a cloth mask is guidance from the CDC. That's the new guidance that we received, some of the new guidance that we received over the last week. So that has not been put into an order by Port St. Lucie or St. Lucie County or the governor yet. It's just guidance from the CDC. And remember, on the cloth mask, because the N95 respirator that's really effective, there's not enough of those. So we need to make sure that our healthcare professionals on the front lines and our first responders can access those N95. We call them masks, but they're really respirators, that they can access them. We got to save the supply for them. So again, we're talking about the cloth masks, and I actually pasted in a link to one of the people that asked that question on Facebook just a couple seconds ago. So we'll actually get the CDC link there. it provides some templates so that you can make your own mask. I don't know, Trista, do you have a mask yet, a cloth mask?
I do. As a longtime germaphobe, actually had some masks you buy in bulk at Walmart. Not N95s, just paper coverings. I've had those in the house for years. And so I do have a mask, but my mom is making masks. She's making homemade masks now. So it gives her something to do and feel useful. I wish I could. I'm the least craftiest person in the world, but I've been watching some YouTube videos so I can give it a shot. But yes, you can make them at home and they look relatively easy to do. And there's lots of YouTube tutorials to do that. So yes, I have a mask.
All right, and so when they cut back to me, you'll see that I also have a mask that was made by one of my neighbors, Vicky. She did an amazing job. And it's got a nice paw print design on it because I love animals and the Humane Society of St. Lucie County. But remember that a cloth mask at this point, that's to protect other people if I happen to be an asymptomatic carrier, and it keeps me from spraying other people with my infected saliva and breath, basically. And so that's the purpose of this mask. It doesn't protect me from Avi and Gus. And so it's guidance from the CDC. It's not meant to replace social distancing.
No.
And at this point, it's voluntary. There are some communities in South Florida, especially Miami-Dade, that have required it. Some cities in Broward urge it, and I think some other cities across the country, like Los Angeles, have also gone to it. So if St. Lucie County put it into an order, if County Administrator Tipton put it into an order, I certainly wouldn't oppose it, and I'm ready to comply with it. But I do think that this is going to be one of those areas that continues to evolve. Just like before there was no mask guidance, what I would speculate, what I would bet $1 on, is that as the N95 respirator supply catches up with demand, and as we push to reopen society and restart the economy, and we're looking for safe ways to do that, I'm betting that wearing masks is going to be a part of that solution, especially until we get vaccine and or antivirals that we know are safe and work. That's just my speculation.
I would imagine so too. I think that at this time, if you have some way to fashion anything into a covering of your mouth, it really is the right thing to do when you go out in public. If you can put something, whether it's a sock, a scarf, anything, put something over your mouth. It's the right thing to do. If you are a non-symptomatic carrier, you're never going to know. So don't take that chance. I think that masks are probably just a small change we might see. We've talked about, Dr. Fauci was on TV talking about never shaking hands again. I'm not opposed to that. I love greeting people. I love seeing people, but shaking hands may be sort of the dinosaur of greetings going on in the future. At least I hope so, right?
I don't know. I mean, you think about all the plagues and everything that we've been through as a species over time, and the handshake goes back a pretty long way, you know, greeting each other with your sword hand, basically, that, hey, you know, we're not gonna kill each other with swords. We're gonna shake hands, and this is a good, safe situation. So maybe, I mean, hey, there's obviously cultures that bow rather than shake hands, right? And you can.
Yes, I'm a big proponent of that.
You can do that at distance.
Much rather bow.
So maybe, who knows? There's so much is going to happen as a result of this event. I mean, books are going to be written. Obviously, well, I mean, we're losing a lot of Americans, right? So we've lost Americans, we've lost Floridians, we've lost St. Lucie residents. So there's a very real loss of life happening in the same basic moment of time. So that's the first thing. And then after that, it's fundamentally altered the course of our lives. And so yes, this is gonna be something that changes us. And we just have to keep working so that hopefully we can gain as many lessons, and we can hopefully improve as a result of it and come together. because you don't want to see this kind of pain and loss and then not learn from it, not get better as a result of it. So that's our challenge, I think.
That's always the challenge. And you said something very interesting, is that this isn't the first time that our species has gone through a pandemic such as this. Of course, it's the first time for most people in their lifetime, but we will learn from it. We'll grow stronger. We will make adjustments. And hopefully, it's sort of like a hurricane season here in Florida. I remember when I first moved here in 2004, I was not giving the credence I needed to the seriousness of hurricanes. And boy, you learn real quick after the first one hit you. And now I think that we are proficient at least with readying ourselves as a community for hurricane season, which we need to be doing at the same time that we're experiencing this. A lot of questions online I'm seeing, and somebody said, "Oh, it's sketchy to wear a mask." I think that that is not a problem. You need to wear that mask. People know you need to wear that mask. If you're acting accordingly in a public setting, I don't think you're going to see a problem from that.
No, it's not like, and I understand that feeling, though, because to me, a bandit wears a bandana over their face, and in a Western, the bad guy wears a bandana over his face before he goes and robs the bank. So I definitely understand why people would think it's maybe looks sketchy, feels sketchy. But at this particular moment in time, I think it's going to become much more socially acceptable here in our country. And again, we were just talking about handshakes, and then some cultures have used bowing for a long time rather than handshakes. Well, you could say the same thing about mask wearing. So I correspond with someone in Slovakia because I have a Slovakian heritage, and he touched base 10 days ago. And he's like, "Greg, we're not allowed outside without wearing masks. That's part of our protocol." And you also see that in Eastern cultures also. It's pretty normal in Japan or China to wear a mask when there's concerns over an outbreak. So this is just one of those things where I don't think a mask was previously widely socially accepted in America, unless you were a very high-risk patient. Maybe you were getting chemo or something. You had to protect yourself from all other germs. I think that's changing around here. And certainly, I'm looking at two people in the studio right now. They're both wearing masks.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be more acceptable. As you know, I have Asian heritage, so I'm good with the bow and I'm good with the mask, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get back out there when it's safe. And just really happy to see the community coming together to help one another and figure this all out, reach out to one another. We did have some people post some access to care, to actual health care, mental health care, because that's important, and we want to make sure people have the ability to do that. I do want to mention our website, stluciechamber.org. We have a clickable portal to individual resources, which includes the full list. That's actually a partnership with 211 of the Treasure Coast and Palm Beaches. And then we have a button that clicks through to the St. Lucie County EDC's resources for businesses. And it has a whole lot more information. And there's everything there in the individual, from where can I help get food for my children, to I need mental health services because I'm feeling low, to our business resources, which have, of course, information about the CARES Act, which we talked about that with Sharita, the PPP, the Payroll Protection Program, but there's so many aspects to the CARES Act. It's not even funny. And so we're going to dive into it as a chamber. We're going to do small webinars on each section of that, little pieces of it, hopefully weekly with experts, because it's overwhelming at the very least.
No, and it's always great to connect people to the resources and the subject matter experts. And just yesterday, all these things that you learn every day, there's some great federal counseling resources that are available. There's actually a 1-800 number that anyone in the country can call during a disaster and to seek help. So I'm going to make sure I post that into the comments right after this show. I don't have it on this particular computer. I have it at my home computer and on my jump drive, but I will grab that link and I will put it in there because a lot of people have identified that this is an issue. Yvonne is on our Facebook page. She's been a huge advocate for this and want to make sure that we provide as many resources as possible. In fact, that's really one of the challenges for us, is organizing the resources in such a way that it makes sense and people can find it. Because there's really almost too much information out there and people can go on overload. And that actually lends itself to anxiety. So one of the professional recommendations out there is that if you just feel overwhelmed by all the news that's coming in and it is stressing you out, it is wigging you out, just take a break. Just take a break.
It is a lot of information, Mayor, as you know. I mean, it's just crazy. The CARES Act is 80 pages, and I've tried to sort through it. I feel like it's my duty to know, but it's overwhelming for me, and I want reassurance that I'm reading things right. And I have told my husband on occasions, you know, he worries about my health and my parents who were helping to supply over there. He's worried about everybody. And I say to him, take a break, take a break. We can't keep watching, you know, constant COVID-19 coverage. I apologize. Avi just let me know there's some feedback over here, but I'm outside and somebody's building a house next door. So I think that's what you're hearing.
And construction is an essential service, just for anyone that is curious about that. So I guess, yeah. Teresa, you had that great segment with Shrita, and of course, obviously, I'm a big fan of Mid-Florida Credit Union, and I'm very happy to know that they're working on the Paycheck Protection Program. So that was outstanding. What else can we address, specifically with your chamber audience? Obviously, Coffee with the Mayor is open to the public, but we've been fortunate enough to do some question and answer sessions with our incident commander, Russ Blackburn. Anything specifically for your chamber members that we can address, or anything I can do or the city can do to help them?
Well, I think it's important that we do encourage them to apply for PPP loans. I think it's important that we encourage them to support one another. It's easy to get yourself in a rabbit hole of what's happening in your life. And I think that when you reach out and support others, you're going to find that they're going to support you. So take advantage of Facebook. I still have some friends that don't have Facebook, and I think to myself, how do you stay in touch? Because there are so many options. I watch these comments go through, and somebody says, where do you get a mask? And 12 people answer them and say, look, we can help you get a mask. So reach out, stay connected as a business. You want to keep yourself relevant in our community. So you got to keep up that Facebook stuff. I sent out an email some time ago that said, make sure you're active on Facebook and you're keeping your name out there. Make sure you're protecting your employees. Make sure you're letting the public know what you're doing for safety as well. And I wish that beyond that, we could do something for everybody that's seeking unemployment, because we know that has been an issue. That is no secret. It's an issue for everybody in this country right now. But what we can control locally is how we react and interact as a group, and make sure that we're supporting each other. And so that's important, very important.
And what is the best way for the chamber members to contact you?
I have my email on every day, all day. I'm not in the office as much. You can contact me on Facebook. You can contact me through my regular email, which is president@stluciechamber.org. I can share with all of my members that I am going through the unemployment process with some of my employees, and I'm going through the PPP loan program. I'm not having any more success. It's just like the mayor tried to get a test and had 3 weeks into that. So I do understand the process a bit because I'm going through it myself. So if you want some private experiences and you want to talk to me, please reach out. You can always call me. I'm going to put up my website and my cell phone number for anybody that wants to call me. Most people that know me know that I will talk to you on my cell phone anytime. to try to make sure that you're getting the right information. Because if I know it, I want to tell you, and I want you to be informed. So I'm going to do that right now.
What's that, Avi? Okay. And we're also going to post that into the comments.
Oh, good. Okay, very good. So there's my cell phone and my email address that I've posted. If you have questions, please reach out to me. I want to help, and I'm going through it, and so it might be very helpful to do that together. I appreciate you. I know that you're so concerned and looking out for the best interests of everybody in our community. I've talked to you on several occasions, and I'm so comfortable in that, and I think it's important. And I think that you've rallied people to understand the severity of this. But also, we're doing things like this to let people know that it too shall pass. We're going to get back to normal. It may look a little different, but we're all going to be there.
Absolutely, that's a great message. So the city of Port St. Lucie a month ago was such a different place, just like our country and our state and the world was largely a different place. And I was reflecting on the State of the City address, which I was going to provide later this month. And it was really going to be a celebration of the city and how far we've come, especially not just since our incorporation in '61, but since the Great Recession and what was really a depression here that lasted not just 2007 and 2009, but here was through really 2013 before we started coming out of it, and how we were a city on the rise, and that I could see that we had the potential not to just be a safe city or a great GDC legacy city or a great bedroom and retirement community, but just a great city, period, with no caveats, no exceptions, that we could really be one of the great cities of 500,000 or less in the entire country. And that's really kind of the theme I was reflecting on, and that's been put on pause by this. But what got us to that point was working hard, smart, and together on carrying out a strategic vision. And that strategic vision being shared by a majority of our community. And so even though we're on pause as a result of this pandemic, that same approach, working hard, smart, and together on a strategic vision, is the exact approach that will get us through this pandemic sooner rather than later, minimize the loss of life, and get us to the recovery that we all want. And in speaking of that recovery, we have to deal with the response on one hand, but then we have to be preparing in the background for the recovery that follows. And just for anyone out there, and certainly the Chamber and a great partner like you, Teresa, if you're looking for glimmers of hope, we can't be distracted. We have to follow through on the response, but at that same time, working on the recovery. There's been some good news this week. Excel, a wire manufacturer that we've been working with a long time, we approved a purchase and sale agreement earlier this week. There's a 90-day inspection period, and Excel is planning to build a factory in Port St. Lucie in Southern Grove as part of the jobs corridor. They're going to build a brand new capital facility. They're going to put 125 people to work at above average annual wages, and they're moving forward right now, right through this pandemic. And so, a deal is never done until it's done, but this is in process, and knock on wood, we approved the deal this week, had a conversation with the owner, Tony O, last night, and we're both very excited, and of course the city is excited, our EDC partners, you and the Chamber, and everyone that's been working so hard on it here at the city, including Wes and Russ. And I will tell you that later today I have a meeting with a group that wants to develop a very large portion of Southern Grove with similar uses, manufacturing and distribution. And so they're making this proposal right now, even with the uncertainty and everything else going on. That's the kind of traction that Southern Grove and our jobs corridor has. So we're working on this response. We want to do everything we can to slow the spread so that we can flatten the curve, so that we can protect our community, reduce hospitalizations, save lives, and get through the response to the recovery, and then we're setting up that recovery, and so that we can get back to being a city on the rise. That's where we're at.
Well, I can thank you for that. And I do want to point out, thank you for continuing on with business, because it is important when we all get up and running. We're hoping to not miss a beat here and just hit the ground running, and continuing construction, continuing to approve projects to go forward that are going to create jobs is very important. So we do very much appreciate the council and staff being willing to go through that process at this time. Southern Groves is the future of Port St. Lucie. I think many of us know that, and we're excited about that, and we want to keep that going, because, again, for the 30th time this show, this too shall pass, and we will all be together again on the other side of this pandemic. So thank you. Thank you to all of you and the city staff for doing the show. I know you guys have been putting a lot of stuff out on Facebook and on TV, and it's reassuring to see your faces and know that you're continuing to work on our behalf every single day here in the city of Port St. Lucie. I think it's important. I'm reading some of the comments, and you know how Facebook works. There's all kinds, and it takes all kinds, and I actually appreciate that, because I think everything is a conversation. But I'm going to stress that I feel that this is a very serious situation, and I know people that are sick. I know people that have lost people, and I know that self-isolation and social distancing is important to all of us, whether you believe it or not. I'm going to ask you to please indulge me in doing that, at least until further notice. Gee, Mayor, this has been great. I feel like we could kind of go on all day. I love the interactiveness of Facebook. Boy, it really allows you to see what people are thinking.
Yeah, let's take as many comments as we can at this moment. Of course, I would take every one if I could. We won't do that because it would probably take a couple hours. But let's try to hit as many comments that you see that you'd like to respond to, or that Avi sees here in the chambers. But we kind of have a different audience today that they're tuning in about COVID, and they may not be part of our normal chamber audience. And so just some basic questions let's hit. So tradition, where is tradition? So tradition is on the west side of 95, and it really runs from Crosstown south. And the tradition proper, if you will, goes from Crosstown to Tradition Parkway, right? That's a Tradition Development of Regional Impact. It's branded as Tradition, but it also, as a brand now, extends south all the way to Becker Road. And so just from Tradition Parkway / Gatlin to Becker is about 4 running miles, 3 miles plus, about 4 running miles. That whole area is being branded as part of Tradition. You will also hear it referred to as Southern Grove. And if you hear talk of the jobs corridor, that is that 4 running miles between the Tradition Gatlin interchange and Becker on the south, just to the west of 95 that hugs it. And that 1,200 acres between Village and 95 is actually owned by the city. Most of that is owned by the city, and we're using it for economic development and job creation, because that's one of the things the city's really been missing. We've always been a safe city. We've always been a city of homeowners. We've always been a place where you can live out the American dream. So we're building on those strengths, but we want to add employment so that you don't have to commute to Palm Beach County or somewhere else every day to work. And we want to add that retail entertainment experience. And so the Jobs Corridor, Southern Grove, and really a piece of tradition there on Tradition Parkway is where we can make that happen. And I think Avi has pasted in a link so that you can learn more about Southern Grove. But that's really essential to our future. And on a big scale, 1,200 acres is huge. So if you're familiar with downtown West Palm Beach, and you know where City Place is, and you know where Clematis is, and the office district, that master planned area of West Palm is over 700, that's 700 acres, 700 and change, 750, 775. Southern Grove, that we own, just that piece, 1,221 acres. So much bigger than all of downtown West Palm. If you like downtown Stewart, well, that's about 160, 170 acres. So we're talking a big difference, right, between 1,200 and 160, 170. So that's, it's strategically important, and it's going to be a big part of our future.
You know, you said something that I find so interesting, and I'm noticing it now, is we are getting a different audience that typically would come down and join us in chambers or maybe even on local TV, because we're usually on local TV. But it is a great opportunity to let them know some interesting things and things that they might want to know about our community. And Southern Grove is definitely a great example of that. Most people that live here are unaware of our beginnings. We're a relatively young city, and we started as a bedroom community, and what bedroom communities have is a lot of bedrooms, and what they don't have a lot of typically when they begin are jobs, and we're working to change that so that we can grow our economy, we can be more sustainable. As many know, the recession hit hard here in the city of Port St. Lucie and St. Lucie County, dependent on growth in construction, and we're changing that. We're doing that every day, and we're getting new expanded types of businesses in the community, and that's through the leadership that we have now that is amazing. So it's a great opportunity for us to do Facebook Live, where we get this different audience than we typically get. So thank you for joining all of us who have never seen us or the show before. We appreciate you coming on to watch on Facebook. This is very exciting stuff.
I'm seeing some of the comments as they roll through. Like, I can't scroll on the city's page, but I'm seeing as they come through, and there continues to be a lot of excitement over specific brands in the city, you know, just talking about more normal issues. So the new at home has got people excited. Of course, people are still talking about Costco, and you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So we've basically pulled all the stops and done everything that we can as a city to recruit Costco, but based on what I'm hearing, they continue to favor a Stewart location, Martin County location, closer to Palm City, over the city of Port St.
I can personally attest that you have done everything you possibly could do to recruit Costco to this city. I have seen it. I have been a part of some of it. I know you have worked hard, but sometimes you just have to realize that they're just not that into you, right? So we're going to let them carry on in their travels.
Yeah, I do think there's something that, you know, you recruit, you be enthusiastic, but when you're courting, you should never chase. You know, that's not a good look. So you should, you know, if it's a good match, you move forward, but don't be desperate, and just go about your business, go about your life, continuing to improve.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's this question.
Our dignity that we did.
I mean, just
go ahead.
Don't throw yourself at somebody. So we've done everything we can. Ultimately, they'll make a business decision after we get through the pandemic and life returns to a new normal. Sean Boyle's out there. He's reminding us of the small business big challenge, and today is the taco dive. And
yep.
You were telling me that a great tragedy has befallen Taco Dive Fort Pierce. So people should go to the Taco Dive tradition, because I guess you were saying there was a fire at Taco Dive Fort Pierce?
Yes. I got a late night text that there was a small fire at Taco Dive Fort Pierce. They're unable to operate today. And so right now, the only location where you can get your takeout for the big challenge is in Tradition. So head out to Tradition. And remember, the receipts for people that get takeout from Taco Dive tonight, will be matched up to $1,000 by the Children's Services Council and our great friend Sean Boyle, and those will be donated to a local nonprofit. So you're helping us out for everything. I wanted to switch back for one moment since we have this new audience, this expanded audience, and they're talking still about retail outlets, and remind them, and you've heard me say this a million times, you've said this a million times, I say it everywhere I go to do talks, is that all of these retail, large retail groups have benchmarks, they have demographics they want a community to reach. If you don't reach those, if you don't match what they're looking for, they just simply will not come. And it has everything to do with your population. It has everything to do with jobs. And that's why we continue to recruit good, high-paying jobs to our community. So you and I really don't have control over what decides to operate in our community. They see our demographics. They see where we're at in terms of disposable income and all that great stuff. And if we have it, trust me, they will come. And so that's the same for Trader Joe's and all of those, and Costco and the like. I've always said to people, retail is not economic development. It is the result of economic development. So by getting those great paying jobs that we're working so hard on, like Excel and all those things going on in Southern Grove, that's when you'll see more of these high-end retailers popping up around town.
I really appreciate you sharing that, and it's always good for other experts and other leaders to reinforce key messages, because really I can talk about these kinds of things till I'm blue in the face. It's not well understood. So people see a mayor on TV, and somehow in that movie or that TV show, the mayor can just, snap his or her fingers and something happens. And retail site development, site location, that's not how it works. So to your point, it's really a function of the number of households and household income inside those households. So how many people, how much money do they have? And really retailers now, especially in this environment, are increasingly sophisticated, and they actually know through credit card data, geofencing, internet analysis, they actually know what you spend your money on. So they want to know how many households, how much cash they have, and then they want to know how much of that cash is spent on their product or their meals before they go somewhere. And that's how the sophisticated retailers in restaurants make their decisions about where they go. And this goes, let's just use Costco as an example. Our market is the same. I mean, Martin County, Port St. Lucie are actually called the Port St. Lucie Metropolitan Statistical Area. We function as one larger market together, but Costco really likes a 1 mile area within Palm City that is the next category of wealthy. And that they believe that that's their core customer, and they want to be really convenient to that core customer. And that's helping to drive their decision-making on where they should locate. This is what it gets down to. For people that want local restaurants over chains. So you got people that want their favorite chain restaurant, then you got other people that say, oh no, I want this kind of restaurant. Well, the land's available, you got a growing population. What that takes is an entrepreneur that wants to do it. So if you're out there and you want to, after we get through this, of course, the pandemic, and we get back to normal or our new normal, there's land available, there's developers that'll build the box where your restaurant can be, but it takes the restaurateur, entrepreneur, chef group to make it happen. That opportunity is here. And so I just encourage people, that's all you got to do is step up into that space and make it happen. Because the mayor and council and the city manager and the staff, we can't operate restaurants. We need the private market to step in there. The opportunity is there for it. And Avi will actually paste in a link on retail, because this is such a big issue in the city, and it's so exciting to people that we try to explain this whole dynamic. And because we can't just snap our fingers and put Smith & Walensky's here and Peter's Steakhouse there, and it's based on the market, we try to help people understand the process so we can be operating off the same sheet of music, and the city goes that extra step. We actually have hired a retail, real estate, national expert to help market the city as a whole so that we can funnel opportunities to our property owners and developers and retail shopping center owners. So that's like an above and beyond. That's not the typical thing that a city would do, but given how important it is to the city and especially our citizens, we're actually taking that extra step.
And I agree with that extra step because you're not trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. You're just being the first ones to tell them, hey, you have these demographics that you're trying to reach. We have these. Come on down. So I think it's smart because it's not like they're sitting around checking every community every single day. So we're just letting them know, hey, we do have that. So come build here. And a lot of times I think people don't understand is that a lot of local restaurants, we did Texas Roadhouse last week for our program with Sean and the nonprofit. They're a franchise, so they actually are a local couple that are involved in local charities and have done a lot here locally. So we're supportive across the board. If you're doing business here in St. Lucie County, we're going to be supportive of you, no matter if you're a big box or a small restaurant. I love you all for sure. I see over there in the comments that we had some questions about COVID and I hate to go back to these subjects, but I do want to make sure that people's questions are being answered. And one of them is, are we a hot spot? Because we have a few more cases than our neighbors. But I think that's explainable. Right, Mayor?
Well, one of my concerns, and it's a continuing concern, is that we don't have a proper handle on it yet because the testing, even though we're moving in the right direction and we're doing more tests and leadership at all levels is talking about the importance and stressing that we're doing more and we want to lead in this area. We're not there yet. So I think the difficult truth, the brutal truth, is that symptomatic people can't just go get a test yet. And until that happens, and until our numbers are no longer constrained by a lack of testing, I don't believe that we can really have a good handle on the number of cases in our community or any community. And then further, I go back to just the big picture here. The big picture is that we're dealing with a pandemic and we have no vaccine, we have no antivirals. So the only thing that we have in our toolkit to fight this fight is testing, where testing is relatively fast, reliable, and then confirmed cases. People who have been confirmed to have COVID-19 can be isolated and their contacts traced. So that's number one. And then number two is when you can't know the specifics and also simultaneously social distancing. So these are the two tools in the toolbox. Those are the only two tools in the toolbox. And right now, testing isn't where it needs to be, so we're not using that tool, and that only leaves us the social distancing. And then, of course, if you thought of social distancing as a dial where you could crank it up to 10, 10 is the safer at home, stay at home order. That is the cranking up social distancing to 10. So that's all you got. So until we get that testing right, we're not fully utilizing all of our tools, and then we don't really know what's going on in the community. So as mayor, one of my big concerns is that because the limited test kits, because of the limited testing out there, I want to make sure that we're getting enough testing here. I want all symptomatic people to be able to get a test easily, and the supplies aren't there yet. And so because there's limited supplies, the criteria are kept a little tighter than we want them to be, so that they don't burn through all those tests. So they're prioritizing at-risk people and first responders secondly now. That's, I think, the latest guidance that we have. So it's not just all symptomatic people. And then so because there's these limited test kits, they go to where the problem is the largest. And in the country, that means places like New York. And in the state of Florida, that means places like Miami-Dade and Broward. So when you're in a county of 325,000 and you're talking about the needs in a place with over 2 million, you worry that your people are getting the resources they need, understanding that you're at the end of a very, very long line. And so when we look at our numbers, I haven't crunched the data, but this is actually something I do. I take the data from the Department of Health website and I study it. When I last studied it, Teresa, I looked at the 25 most populous counties. Remember, there are 67 counties in the state of Florida. We are the 20 most populous. So I took the 25 most populous counties plus Martin County, because they don't fall into that category, but we want to see what's going on there. So I studied 26 counties, and on a per capita basis, we were 20th in tests. So we were lagging on tests. We were behind the per capita on a per capita basis. And then mortality-wise, with 6 deaths from COVID-19 in St. Lucie County, we're actually high on a per capita basis. So we're low on testing, and we're high. At that time, we were number 4. Palm Beach County, number 1. Palm Beach County is also low per capita testing. And the governor talked about flooding Palm Beach County with resources, which I support wholeheartedly, because Teresa, we're connected to Palm Beach County. In fact, the Department of Economic Opportunity did a study about the commuting patterns, and we were talking about being a bedroom community. Tens of thousands of people normally commute between St. Lucie County and South Florida every day, with over 10,000 people going to Palm Beach County. Even though we have less traffic on the road as a result of the Safer at Home order, there are so many essential services and essential activities that you still have plenty of traffic going back and forth. So we're linked to Palm Beach County. So seeing both of our counties be low in testing and high in mortality is of great concern to me, and something that I continue to work on.
Yeah, you said so much there, and the reality is we are a large community, and we are going to see probably at least a proportionate amount of cases for our size, but we're not getting the proportionate amount of testing. And that's going to continue to be an issue as we go into this month of isolation, knowing that many people in our community right now are carrying the COVID-19 virus and have just not had access to testing or are not showing symptoms. So now is not the time to let up on the gas as far as self-isolation goes, or as far as social distancing as well. And I know that you're trying to get us more testing, but it's sort of out of our hands. And we know that Cleveland Clinic and our friends at HCA and their medical group are also trying very hard to get more testing, but we are lagging behind. And because of that, we saw in the comments that it took people over 2 weeks. It took you 2 weeks to get your test results. We are 2 weeks out from knowing who's walking around today with COVID-19. So that's why we have to continue to be diligent, very, very diligent.
Well, Teresa, I'm getting the signal for us to wrap up. I want to thank you very much for all that you do and for being with us today virtually. Avi and our communications team will follow up with us with any of the comments that we didn't address, sending them to you, sending them to me. We'll try to respond to everyone in the comments in good faith. Let us end by thanking, you brought up St. Lucie Medical Center, Longwood, HCA, Tradition Hospital, Cleveland Clinic, Tradition Hospital, Cleveland Clinic, Martin North. All 4 of these hospitals serve our area. They serve chamber members. They serve the residents of Port St. Lucie. Let's be clear that in this testing equation, they are not the issue. They are the part of the solution. They're doing everything we can, and they can. It's the national shortage of testing supplies, testing kits, that is the constraint, not our local providers. They're doing everything that they can. Want to thank the nurses, the doctors, all the healthcare professionals, the healthcare leadership, our healthcare heroes. We want to thank our first responders. We want to thank the essential workers out there. I like to thank, in addition to those heroes, I like to thank the heroes, at Publix. I like to thank I call them a bag boy because that's what I was back when I worked for different grocery stores in Florida when I was 15 and 16. But the stockers that are there working for just over minimum wage and putting themselves in harm's way to keep society going and to restock toilet paper whenever it shows up. I mean, all of these people, the truck drivers, the farmers, everyone that's continuing to do their thing so that society continues to function. Of course, everyone here at City Hall, all of our hardworking team PSL and you and the chamber. Just want to thank everyone for doing what they can. To your point, Trissa, we will get through this. And if we work hard, smart, and together, our response will succeed. We'll reduce hospitalizations, we'll save lives, and we'll get to the recovery sooner. Thank you.
Well said, Mayor. With that, I want to thank everybody for joining us today on Facebook Live. We have a lot of people that said we should do this every month. I don't know about the possibilities of that, but I did enjoy it, and I did enjoy the interaction. Thank you so much, everybody. Just hang in there, stay safe, be careful, and we'll see you soon in person. I'm just sure of it. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye, Trissa. Thank you.